Right, welcome everyone back to another video. Today it's back to the Championship. We've been having a lot of Euro content recently, of course, but it's good to get back to club football. I'm joined today by a special guest. If you are proper fans of this channel, I'm sure you may have heard of him. He's been on my streams before.
I'll go in a minute.
Okay, you can go in a minute. Is that exactly a minute from now?
Yeah.
Okay, so probably on about 50 seconds.
Forest are very bad.
Okay, you can go now if you want. It's Dom. Dom, how are you doing today?
Hello.
Man? Yeah,
Fine.
He doesn't really support a team, but we'll just move over that. But what we thought we'd do today is we'll do early Championship predictions. There's like just under a month into the season. About a week or so before it starts, I'll do my final ones where I actually have a table up on screen and that, but we're going to go club by club and just talk about them briefly and what we think is going to happen. So we're going alphabetical order, starting with Bournemouth. Now, I think Bournemouth, they've got Scott Parker, of course, as their manager, and they're going to have to try and keep hold of players like Dan Juma and Philip Billing. They've been linked away with moves to the likes of Norwich in terms of Billing. Dan Juma's been linked abroad to clubs like Wolfsburg and Villarreal. So if they can keep hold of those, they should do decent. And Bournemouth, really, they underperformed last season by their standards. And I don't think they're quite going to get the top two. I put them third. What do you make of Bournemouth, Dom?
Well, I think they're going to basically do the similar season that they had last season. And Parker's certainly an interesting manager appointment. So it'll be interesting how he says with less funds than he had at Fulham.
Moving on to Barnsley. This is arguably one of the most interesting
ones.
An
interesting one, yeah. This is going to be so interesting.
You can go first with this one if you want.
All right. Well, I put them 17th because they've lost their coach to West Brom. They've lost a few key players like Dyke, and their CEO's probably leaving as well.
You put them 17th. I've gone for 16th. Now, I know this is quite easy to do because Barnsley they are well known for being a team at the bottom end of the Championship, maybe at the top end of League One, but they might very well just go back to what they were in previous years.
They'll be fine. They won't go down. They're just like mid-table. Yeah,
I don't think they're going to be in quite as deep relegation trouble as they have been in previous years, but I don't think they're going to do anywhere near as good as they did last season. So the next club we got is Birmingham City. Quite an interesting one, really, when you think about it.
This is going to be interesting.
Definitely. I put them 18th. Okay, I'll just say that now.
Okay.
I put them 18th because that's what Birmingham tend to do. They've made a signing in Thais Chong from Man United on loan.
Oh yeah, I picked that up as well.
Yeah, that's a decent signing. That one. Ryan Woods is coming from Stoke. They've also signed Jordan Graham from Gillingham.
Well, we have something similar. I put them 19th because they could, as you said, they could either fight for the top six or be where we put them.
So on to Blackburn Rovers. There's a lot of clubs beginning with B, which is kind of weird, I suppose. I've put them 12th. They probably will be a bit disappointed about that. They probably want to try and push for the playoffs, but I think what's going to let them down, like they did last season, is their defence. Because last year they conceded 54 goals. However, they scored 65. So if they could sort out their defence to match their attack, they should do amazing. But I just don't think they're going to do that because they still haven't signed any players.
Well, I put them a bit higher than you, and I put them 10th. Okay. I think they must keep hold of like Armstrong. Like that must be a priority because he's linked with Southampton. Yeah, and I think he's linked with Brighton as well.
We'll move on to Blackpool, one of the newly promoted clubs. And
okay, this is going to be quite interesting.
I think Blackpool could surprise a few people. I've put them in 20th.
Oh, right, okay.
Where have you put them, Dom?
I put them 18th.
Okay, right. So roughly the same area of the table. They have lost Ollie Turtonton, who was their main right back last season. He's gone to what could very well be a relegation rival in Huddersfield. So that might be a bit of an issue for them. They've got Neil Critchley as their manager, who was a former Liverpool youth coach, and in his first season, as you just pointed out, he got promoted.
Well, I've literally put they've got to keep that striker Yates if they want to have a goal scoring threat. They've got to treat most of these games like a final if they really want to push higher than the 20th, which you said.
On to another club, a bit like the likes of Blackburn, that really are the definition of mid-table championship mediocrity. This is Bristol City, all right? They had a terrible end to last season, and I fear the worst for them because they have lost a lot of players and they haven't replaced any of them. They haven't even signed any players as of yet. I think they're going to finish in exactly the same position as they did last year, in 19th.
Well, I put them 15th. I thought Pearson would make them have a decent finish because they've lost a lot of players, as you said, and it's a bit of a shame because they were trying to push for a playoff place like 2 seasons ago, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
So it's interesting.
Last season was a real morale downer. You can't have helped their morale at all. I fear the worst of Bristol City, but they're a difficult team to predict. You could quite easily see them get that top 10 at the same time as all this. You never know what's going to happen with Bristol City, really. On to Cardiff City then. I have put this lot, and I've backed them the last 3 seasons to do this. They've only done it once. I put them in the playoffs, and I put them into 6th place, just getting in.
Oh.
Yeah.
We put them in the same position. I put something about Mick McCarthy saying, when he was hired, it was all doom and gloom for Cardiff, but he's completely turned that squad around. He's added a few youngsters as well, so they should be getting around that top 8, top 6 spot, hopefully.
Yeah, I think Cardiff should be definitely trying to get the playoffs this year because it's their 3rd straight season outside the Premier League, so they're going to want to try and push hard this year. All right, so on to Coventry. This might surprise you all, to be honest, because I've put them a little bit higher than last season. I've put them in 14th.
Oh, right. Wow, okay. I put them 16th.
I think they've made some good signings in Martin. I mean, can I really call Martin Marcon a good signing? Ex-Derby. He's coming on a free, and they've also signed Simon Moore.
A lot of experience, to be honest.
It's very true, yeah. Simon Moore from Sheffield United as well. So they have made a few good signings in there. I think the fact that they're going to have fans back, they're actually playing at the Rico this time. I just think Coventry could push on and do a little bit better. Nothing special, but I think they could do all right.
I basically put something interesting is going on that team, and they'll be fine. And they have made a few nice additions as well. And they have signed Ben Sheff or something from Arsenal as well, and someone else. I put Victor. I can't remember his last name, so that's nice. Yeah, I think that'll be all right.
Professionalism on this channel, as always. All right, so this next team is rather interesting. I'm just going to say it straight off. I put them 24th.
Yeah.
I'm not being biased. Well, there's plenty of reasons.
As well, so you're not being biased at all.
There we go.
Because I put them there as well.
Any Derby fan is watching this video, and there's a chance you might do. If you seriously don't think that you're going to be in a relegation battle this year, then you are deluded, quite frankly. You were the luckiest team of all time to survive in the Championship last season. You had to rely on Rotherham United to concede a goal to Cardiff. You're dead lucky. You should really have a points deduction. You've got 13 fit senior players. You've got Wayne Rooney as your manager. I could go on. League One party inbound, basically.
When I was trying to write just some notes myself, I literally put Jesus as the first word because they've said we've got 13 fit players. They haven't got their centre backs 37 as well. Their club, it's just a perfect example of how not to run football club. I come from
a land. On to Fulham, okay, one of the relegated Premier League sides. I think it's about fair. I was considering putting them in the top 2. There's a giveaway there that I haven't put them in the top 2. I put them 4th.
Oh, okay. It's not looking so bad.
What about yourself?
I put them 5th.
Okay. I think Fulham, they just need to try and steady the ship instead of just being a yo-yo club because they've gone up and gone down 2 years in a row now, and I wouldn't like that. Okay, as my club, if I just kept going up and down, I'd rather just stay in one division and just try and settle there, to be quite honest. And losing Scott Parker to another Championship promotion rival is a really weird move, quite frankly. And they haven't signed any players. A lot of their genuine quality last season was on loan. I do think Marco Silva is a very interesting appointment and a good appointment as well.
I pretty much agree with you there. So, yeah. Massive season for Silver.
On to Huddersfield Town. Yeah, I don't really want to make that pause there. I just thought, what do I say about Huddersfield? They were pretty dreadful last season. They had the worst defensive record, and we mentioned Blackburn had a poor record, but Huddersfield were even worse.
They had the worst.
Yeah, I put them 21st. I don't really know why I've kept them up, but I have them. Where have you put them?
22nd.
Oh, okay, right. They've got Jordan Rhodes in. He used to play for them. He certainly hasn't been the most consistent striker the last few years, which is ironic because it's kind of funny, really, from a Forest point of view. He scored a hat-trick against Forest a few years ago. And then after that, he scored about one goal the rest of the entire season, and that was in like the halfway stage. So that says a lot about Forest, really, doesn't it? But Josh Ruffles from Oxford, who, of course, Oxford just slipped up at the end of last season in the playoff race. Matty Pearson from Luton, they have made a few good signings, but I just fear that defensively and attacking, and basically their entire team just isn't good enough, quite frankly.
I'm going to have to agree with you there a bit. I just don't think they have the quality. And I think that winger, Cormo, or whatever, I think that's how you say it, will be a bright spark. Yeah. I think he'll be the only bright spark in that team next season.
On to another team beginning with H, a newly promoted side, Hull City. A lot's changed at Hull since they were last in the Championship, only a year ago, by the way. I've not even said the position. I've put them 23rd.
Yeah, wait, but we agree on another one. I've just literally said I don't think they have enough quality to stay up, and they're similar to Rotherham. I think they just simply don't have enough quality. But I think they will put a few surprise wins on a few teams, and they've also sold quite a few players to Championship clubs.
Exactly.
Higher ones. Like Long and DeWitt, or whatever his name is.
They've signed a few players though as well. Andy Cannon from Portsmouth. If you back in my FIFA days, you may have watched the Portsmouth career I did, and he was actually a player in that series. George Moncure from Luton, who whenever I saw Luton play, I thought he did really well for them. So that's a bit of a strange one from Luton's point of view. And I think their main threat of goals will be from Josh Magnus, who got 18 goals last season in League One, and he's been about the block a bit in the Championship. He was at Bolton before, he's been at Charlton as well, so he's been at plenty of clubs. I think Hull, ultimately, I look at all the other teams around them, I just don't think they're going to have enough, and they could very well become a bit of a yo-yo club. Luton Town, they really have been quite an incredible story for them. Obviously, we're in League Two not even that long ago, and now they've had two very solid seasons. Obviously, they stayed up in their first year, the Great Escape. Last year, they were really solid, and I think they're going to improve again. I've put them in 11th place.
Oh, same.
There you go. Another one we agree on. This is interesting. We haven't been copying each other. They've lost James Collins, which could ultimately be a bit of a hit for them. But they've also signed the likes of Henry Lansbury. Don't know whether that's a good thing or not. Ryan Tunnicliffe, who I was kind of surprised to find out that he's joined Portsmouth in League One, because he actually... Of course, he scored against Forest last season when they beat us at home. I think Luton will just do a bit more of the same this season. Just be a tough team to beat.
I wouldn't be surprised if they push for a playoff place either, because they've got a really good coach as well.
On to Middlesbrough. Obviously, under Neil Warnock last season, they did a hell of a lot better than they did in the previous year when they nearly went down under Jonathan Woodgate. And I think they're going to improve again, but not quite enough to get the playoffs. I've put them in 7th.
Wow. I put them 9th.
They've made quite a few signings so far. I'm not entirely sure how to say this guy's name. But
it's a lot of experience as well,
yeah,
I would say.
Yeah. Ik Penzu, he's coming from Wickham. He was one of their main threats last season. A player that we'll know quite well on this channel, Sammy Amiobi, on a free. They have lost a few in Britt Zambalonga, player we know quite well on this channel, of course. They've lost George Saville. He's gone back to Millwall. So they've done quite a bit of business in and out. And I think under Neil Warnock, they should continue to push forward, and they could even quite easily maybe get the playoffs. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I put that as well in my bits. I also put anything below like 12, I think would be quite disappointing for them.
Millwall, another club that is difficult to beat, and you never really know what to think of them. Last season, they were kind of in a bit of relegation scrap at times, and then they ended up being in a somewhat optimistic to get the playoffs. They ended up coming 10th, but was it a 10th? No, I just said that Borough came 10th. They came 11th, in fact, but I do think they're going to improve. I've put them in 9th.
I put them 14th.
Right, okay, this is like one of the few ones that we've got quite far out, isn't it? Like we mentioned just earlier, they've got George Savile back in. They've got a very, very experienced striker in Berwick Afobe, but the last few clubs he's been at, he's not really hit the ground running, so that might be a bit of an interesting one to see what's going to happen there. And of course, it's worth pointing out their main man is Jed Wallace, and he's been linked with a few moves away to several clubs, but it looks like he's going to stay. He's only got 1 year left on his contract.
I just think they're that mid-table club in the Championship. They're just there. I won't be surprised if they do get 11th or 10th, but they're just there. They don't get relegated. They don't get top 6.
We're going to briefly talk about this club because you'll be more than aware of them on this channel. Nottingham Forest. I'm going to be completely unbiased here, okay? Very, very, very boring. I haven't put us any higher or lower than last season. We came 17th last season, and that's where I've put us.
Oh, no.
I hate to say that, but we've made one signing, a goalkeeper in Ethan. I don't know how do you say his name. I'm still learning his name because I've only just heard of him. I don't know whether he's going to play or not, so we could very well just sign a player that's not going to play. And we've got Gartan Blong and Tyler Blackett as our left backs, so that's enough said.
I'm going to get hated, but I put you 20th.
Okay, that's just a bit too far, isn't it, really?
One of the lowest goal scoring teams last season. Only Derby had less by 1. And you've also let a few key players leave, like Ribeiro, So, Amiobi, and then your other, your past captain, Dawson, all go. Other massive worry is that you haven't got any money to spend because you're linked with lower division players or players really in obscure leagues as well.
Peterborough. I've actually written quite a lot about this team. I don't really know why, and I don't really know why I put them in this position, having spoken about Huddersfield. Maybe I should have put them the other way around, but I put them 22nd. Where have you put them?
21st.
Okay, right. So we put Huddersfield and Peterborough just the other way around. That's interesting. That is Marriott and George Grant, ex-Forest. He's coming from Lincoln. Josh Knight from Leicester. So they've been pretty busy in the transfer.
I've actually said I think he'll be a standout signing, that Josh Knight guy. I think he'll be really good. I put that.
And they've got some really exciting players in this team. Ethan Hamilton, former Man United young player. They've got experience in there as well with Mark Beavers, former Bolton.
Well, I think similar to Blackburn, they've got to treat every single game, all 46, like a final. They've got a really good coach, and I'm pretty sure he's Sir Alex's son. So I think they'll be okay.
Preston North End. I put them 15th.
I put them 13th.
Okay.
13th. I don't think they've made any standout transfers, unless I'm wrong.
Not really. No, they haven't really signed many. I did have a look at that, of course. Izzy Brown from Chelsea. They've got Liam Lindsley from Stoke, a centre back, and that's about it. Really, they haven't really done that much business. They haven't really got rid of many players either. Frankie McAvoy is now their permanent boss, and it's worth pointing out actually that he was their manager towards the end of last season, and they won their last 4 games. So they had a very strong end to it. All right, on to QPR. We've only got a few clubs left. I have put QPR in 8th place. What about you, Dom?
I put them 7th.
Their form at the start of the year, or since the start of the year, has been quite incredible, to be honest. And I just think it's going to carry on. They've got Charlie Austin back as a permanent QPR player, of course. 7 goals last year since he came in January. Sam Field is also permanently back. Jimmy Dunn from Burnley and Andre Dozzell from Ipswich Town, of course, for just over £1 million. And there's rumours they could be getting Stefan Johansson back as well after his loan spell there last season. I think QPR will be happy with this, to be honest. 2 seasons in a row of this kind of performance. All right, on to another team in blue and white hoops. Of course, it's Reading. Now, they had a very weird season last year, didn't they? I think they're going to want to try and prove it wasn't just a fluke. This is a bit like Barnsley.
Oh, we're going to be off then. We're going to be off this one.
They've sold Marco Elise to Crystal Palace, of course, for... Is that 13 million? 13 million. Yeah, it's quite a decent amount of money, but they've lost their star player.
Where did you put them?
I put them 10th.
Oh, I put them 12th.
Okay, I didn't even say where I put them earlier, did I? But 10th. And it's worth pointing out they've lost quite a few other key players, as well as Elise. One of the strangest transfers I've ever seen, Omar Richards to Bayern Munich.
I put that as well.
Yeah,
I put that.
Mental. Thomas Estevez has gone back to Porto after being on loan, and former Red, of course, Alpha Semedo has gone back to Benfica. So, yeah, there's been quite a few players out, but not many in. Wednesday went down, of course. We're not going to have a Steel City derby. It's Sheffield United. I think they'll win the league first.
Oh, I put them second.
Okay, so we both think they'll get automatics. Some people could say maybe they could capitulate, just continue going downhill. But I don't think they will. How can I say his name? Jukanovic. I know how to say his last name. Jukanovic, ex-Fulham boss who got Fulham promoted. He got sacked halfway through his first year in the top flight, of course. But I think that's a fantastic appointment for the Blades. They've lost a few players. John Lundstrom's gone to Rangers for free, but we all know he was going to leave.
I think the fans were a massive part, probably bigger than the players themselves when they finished 8th in the Premier League. So if they had that again, they should bounce back up. And I think they need to try their best to keep hold of like Berg and their other key players.
Definitely.
Yeah. Should just bounce straight back up, hopefully.
Stoke City, a team that we're not that fond of on this channel, but I put them, it's not that special really, to be honest, 13th place. What about you?
Oh, I put them at 8th.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think last season they were underperforming, didn't they? So I think and try and chase a playoff place.
They've signed a few players. Ben Wilmots from Watford, which is a good bit of business. He didn't play much for Watford last year, but that could be a good signing for them. I think this is actually a really solid bit of business. Mario Vrancic for free from Norwich City. They have lost Nathan Collins, of course, to Burnley for 12 million. That could come back to bite them maybe, but I think overall, I don't know what to make of Stoke. I just think it screams at mid-table, in my opinion, but you never know, they could finish 8th, like Dom's predicting.
Hopefully, they'll probably beat Forest again next season, like 4-0.
Couldn't have but grim when you said that. I don't know why it shouldn't have been the case. Swansea City. As you can probably tell by now, I've put them in 5th place. What about you?
3rd.
3rd, okay, right, interesting. They have lost a few players. Andre Ayew, I think losing him could be quite a huge hit, to be quite honest, because he's their talisman.
Yeah, the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. Liam Walsh is coming from Bristol City. He didn't play much at all 3 times last year for them, only because he had a major injury twice, which, I mean, that's disastrous for him.
Well, I think if they don't actually get up the season, their coach, Cooper, won't be linked with so many Premier League clubs.
They're going to want to try and push for top 2, but I think with the likes of Sheffield and the next team we're going to talk about, the final team, I think it's going to be tough for them. All right, on to West Brom. I have put them in 2nd place. What do you make of West Brom, Dom?
I've put them top winners.
Obviously, they've been through 2 different managers since they were last in the Championship. They had Bilic, who was quite harshly sacked. Obviously, they had Big Sam, but now they've got Ismail from Barnsley, which I think is a quality appointment. And of course, he's bought his star player from the Tykes with him in Alex Mowat. Obviously, they're going to want to try and keep hold of Mateus Pereira as well. Obviously, their star player has been linked with several clubs. If they can keep hold of him, I think they should most likely come back up.
Well, I think if Isami or whatever, their new coach, can quickly inject his style of play, then they would probably be quite a big force. And they definitely have the quality to get 100 points plus.
All right, so that is it for our early Championship predictions. In a couple of weeks' time, of course, I'll do my final one where, I'll get a table up on screen and that kind of thing. I'm looking forward to doing that. probably will change again. But if you have enjoyed a slightly different kind of video, please make sure you hit a like button, subscribe to the channel, follow my Twitter, all that good stuff. And yeah, I'll see you very soon. Up the Reds.